Wealth begins in the mind long before it ever shows up in the wallet. That's the truth most people miss. They think money starts in the bank account, but that's not where it starts. That's just where it ends up. It starts here, in the mind, in the thinking, in the daily dialogue you have with yourself about who you are, what you deserve, and how life works. If you want to live like the wealthy, you must think like the wealthy. It is not about luck or circumstance. It is about the philosophy you choose to adopt every day. Because the secret to wealth is this: rich thinking produces rich results. So today I will teach you how to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from fear to courage, and from procrastination to disciplined action. We'll uncover the mental habits that separate those who struggle financially from those who build wealth steadily. Let's begin. Wealth begins in the mind long before it ever shows up in the wallet. And one of the most profound shifts you can make is to adopt a long-term mindset. You see, the difference between those who struggle financially and those who achieve true wealth isn't about luck or talent. It's about the way they think about time and growth. The broke mind asks, how can I get rich quick? It chases after shortcuts and quick fixes, always looking for the next fast break or lucky opportunity. But the wealthy mind thinks differently. It says, how can I build something that lasts? Because real wealth is not a sprint, it's a marathon, a journey that unfolds over years, decades even. I've lived long enough to see this truth revealed time and again. When I was starting out, I didn't have a fortune handed to me. What I had was a visiona picture of where I wanted to be in 10 years. I understood early on that the choices I made today weren't just about the immediate outcome, they were investments in my future self. Every dollar saved, every skill learned, every relationship nurtured was a brick in the foundation of something much larger than a paycheck. This is why I encourage you to stop thinking about wealth as something that happens overnight. It's not a lottery ticket. It's a blueprint. Imagine your financial future as a house you're building. You don't slap up the walls and roof on day one. You start with the foundation, laying each stone with care and patience. Some days the progress is invisible, but the strength of your house grows with every intentional choice you make. You learn to weather storms, to patch leaks, and eventually you build a home that stands the test of time. The practice here is simple but profound. Create a 10-year vision. Take a moment, write down where you want to be financially, the skills you want to master, and the kind of contribution you want to make to your family, your community, or even the world. Then every day ask yourself, does this decision bring me closer to that vision? It might be as small as choosing to save rather than spend, or dedicating time to learning a new skill instead of indulging in distractions. The power of these daily decisions compounds like compound interest in a bank account. Consider the power of compound growth, not just in money, but in habits and mindset. If you commit to learning something new every day, in 10 years, you'll be 10 times wiser. If you consistently save even a small portion of your income, in 10 years, that can grow into a substantial nest egg. But it all starts with that mindset shift. You must stop chasing instant gratification and start planting seeds for a future harvest. This is the wisdom I want you to carry with you. Wealth is crafted with patience, discipline, and vision. When you live by this long-term mindset, the daily grind isn't a burden, it becomes your investment portfolio. Your work, your sacrifices, your steady progress, they're all contributing to a future that rewards you far beyond what a quick win ever could. And remember, the world is full of distractions, promising fast success and easy money, but true wealth ignores the noise. It listens to the quiet voice of steady, deliberate growth. When you embrace this philosophy, you begin to see every challenge as an opportunity to build resilience. Every setback is a lesson, not a defeat. This mindset will carry you through economic downturns, personal hardships, and moments of doubt. So, set your sights on decades, not days. Build a vision so compelling and clear that it guides your decisions effortlessly. Align your daily actions with that vision. Before you know it, you'll find that what once seemed distant and impossible is now your reality. This is the secret to lasting wealth. The discipline to think big and act small every day, knowing that your future self will thank you for the choices you make now. Keep your eyes on the horizon and your footsteps steady. Wealth is not a destination, it's a journey, and it begins with the way you think. You know, one of the biggest lessons I've learned through my own journey and the journeys of those who have built lasting wealth is this. The moment you stop trading your time for money, your financial life changes forever. It's a shift in mindset, and it's also a shift in strategy. Working harder is commendable. There's dignity and effort and grind, but working smarter, that's where the real magic happens. I remember when I first started out, like many of you, I was focused on earning a paycheck. My time was my currency. If I wanted more money, I had to put in more hours. But over time, I realized this model is limiting. You can only work so many hours in a day, and if you're stuck trading every hour for dollars, your income has a ceiling. No matter how hard you work, there's only so much money you can make because time is finite. The wealthy don't just work for money, they build systems and acquire assets that work for them. This is the essence of leverage. It's about creating money machines, assets that produce income even when you're not actively working. It could be real estate that generates rental income while you sleep, stocks that pay dividends, intellectual property like books or courses that sell over and over, or businesses that run with teams in place. Each of these is a tool that puts your money to work, multiplying your earning potential beyond your hours. Let me share something practical. When I began to invest in my own education and started a few small businesses, I was actually laying the groundwork for this leverage. The goal was never just to make a quick buck. It was to build something that with time could produce income independently of me. Think about owning a rental property. Sure, it takes some upfront effort finding the right property, managing tenants, but once set up, it brings in cash flow month after month without you having to show up to a desk or clock in. That's the power of assets. And it's not just about money, it's about freedom. When your income is tied to your time, your freedom is tied to your schedule. But when you own assets that generate income, you free yourself from the hourly grind. You create choices about how you spend your time, where you live, and what risks you can afford to take. So how do you begin? Start small. You don't need to buy a mansion or start a Fortune 500 company overnight. Begin by buying shares in a company you believe in or setting aside a small amount to invest regularly. Maybe start a side hustle that can eventually run without you. The key is to think beyond the immediate paycheck and start thinking about ownership and leverage. Also, create intellectual property. Write that book, record that course, build that app. These are assets that can sell repeatedly without additional work. I once coached someone who turned a simple skill public speaking into an online course that continued to generate income years after he created it. The upfront effort was worth years of passive income. Remember, the journey from labor to leverage requires patience and learning. It's not always easy to shift your mindset from I must work for money to I must make money work for me, but it's essential for lasting wealth. The rich know this secret. They build systems and acquire assets that make money whether they're working or resting. This is how wealth compounds not just your money, but your time and effort as well. The more you invest in creating assets, the more your income grows without extra hours worked. So, stop thinking about trading every minute for dollars. Instead, start building money machines assets that pay you back day after day. This is the path to financial freedom and true wealth. Remember, your time is your most valuable currency. Invest it wisely by creating assets that make your money work hard for you even when you're not working. That is the mindset and strategy that separates the wealthy from everyone else. I want you to imagine something. The power of compounding. It's often called the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. But here's the catch. Compounding doesn't work if you delay your start. It's not just about how much money you put in. It's about how long you let it grow. Time is your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Many people wait for the perfect moment to invest, waiting for the right time to begin building wealth. They think, I'll start when I have more money. Or, I'll start after I pay off this debt, or maybe next year. But the truth is that waiting costs you. Every day you delay is a day compounding isn't working for you. It's time slipping away, wealth slipping away. Compounding is simple. Your money earns money, and then that money earns money on top of money. It's the snowball effect. But to make that snowball roll and grow, you have to start somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's just $5, $50, or $500. The size of the seed isn't as important as the time it spends growing. I remember early on, I couldn't put large sums aside. I was starting with very little, but I started anyway. I set up a small account and committed to adding what I could regularly. Over the years, those small, consistent contributions grew into a substantial nest egg, not because I was putting in millions, but because I gave time a chance to work. When you think about it, time is either your friend or your foe. If you start early, you're allowing your money to grow exponentially. If you wait, you're working against the clock, making the climb steeper and harder. This principle applies not just to money, but to skills and knowledge too. The more you learn today, the more it compounds in your mind, making you more valuable tomorrow. But the same principle applies. Start today, don't wait. So, don't wait for a windfall. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start now. Open an investment account. Start a savings plan. Put aside a little each month. The magic isn't in the amount you start with. It's in the power of consistent, patient growth over time. Plant those seeds today, water them with discipline, and trust that the harvest will come. Your future self will thank you for the patience and action you take now. This is how time becomes your partner in building wealth, not your enemy. Money, like any important game, has rules. You can't expect to win without learning the playbook. Yet many people wander through life thinking money is either luck or something too complicated to understand. That's where most people get stuck. But the truth is, money follows patterns and rules you can learn, understand, and apply. From interest rates that grow your investments, to tax strategies that protect your income, to the different vehicles for investing stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, each has its own role and risk. The wealthy don't just stumble into success. They study these rules relentlessly. They become students of money. They understand how compounding works, how debts and credits impact cash flow, and how to structure their finances to maximize growth and minimize loss. In my early years, I had to learn these rules the hard way. I made mistakes because I didn't understand how taxes or interest rates could affect my income and investments. But once I became curious and committed to learning, I turned those mistakes into stepping stones. I read books, attended seminars, talked to experts, and applied what I learned. I realized the game was never about how much money you had, but how well you understood the rules and used them. The financial landscape changes, constantly new laws, market shifts, innovation, so lifelong learning isn't optional, it's essential. Treat your financial education as a journey that never ends. The moment you think you know it all, you've already fallen behind. The more you understand the game, the more confident you become. You start seeing opportunities others miss. You stop fearing money because you know it's just a tool with rules. When you master these rules, you take control, you stop being a player and become a strategist. Don't just earn money, learn money. Make it your subject, your hobby, your passion. The more you learn, the easier it is to make smart decisions, avoid costly mistakes, and build lasting wealth. And the more you apply what you learn, the more you win. Remember, money is a language. Speak it fluently, and it will serve you well. Remain a student, stay humble, and watch how your financial life transforms. That is the path to winning the financial game, by understanding and mastering its rules. Wealth begins with a simple but powerful shift in thinking from focusing on income alone to embracing the concept of ownership. When you live life thinking only about your paycheck, your financial future is tied directly to your ability to trade time for money. And while working for a paycheck may put food on the table, it rarely builds lasting freedom or true wealth. I learned early in my life that jobs are valuable, but they are not the end goal. The true path to financial independence is ownership. Think about it this way. When you own a part of a business, a piece of real estate, or intellectual property, those assets continue to generate income for you even when you're not actively working. It's not about hours clocked in, but about the value and equity you accumulate over time. This is what separates the wealthy from those who remain stuck in the paycheck cycle. Ownership means building something that works for you day and night, giving you leverage over your time and energy. Now, I'm not suggesting you quit your job today or chase some wild scheme to get rich quickly. Instead, start small. The journey toward ownership begins with small, deliberate steps. Consider buying shares of a reputable company, even if it's just a few dollars a month. Learn how the stock market works. This act alone shifts your mindset. You are no longer just a worker. You become an investor, an owner. This is the start of a powerful change. Or think about creating something that can produce ongoing income, a side project, a product, a service, or content like a book or online course. When you put your knowledge or skill into something others value, you build an asset. I remember early in my career, I began by writing and speaking, sharing principles that help people transform their lives. That work eventually became intellectual property that generated income beyond my direct efforts. This didn't happen overnight. It required patience and consistent effort. But the payoff was freedom, the ability to choose how I spent my time. Ownership thinking is not just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who wants to escape the limits of working for money alone. This mindset starts well before you accumulate wealth. It's about seeing yourself as a creator and owner of value, not merely an employee. It's about asking, how can I build something that earns money even when I'm not working? I've met many people who think ownership is only for the rich or those with lots of capital, but that's not true. Ownership is a mindset and a habit. It's about finding opportunities to create or buy assets that generate cash flow. Maybe it's investing in rental property, starting a small business, or creating digital content. Whatever it is, the principle remains, own something that works for you. Building ownership takes courage because it often means stepping outside your comfort zone. It means learning new skills, taking calculated risks, and thinking long-term. But remember, every wealthy person you know started somewhere. They didn't start with vast riches. They started with a mindset of ownership and built steadily from there. Ownership creates freedom. It frees you from the grind of trading hours for dollars and gives you control over your financial future. The sooner you embrace this philosophy, the sooner you'll begin to see opportunities you might have missed otherwise. Begin thinking like an owner today, not after you become rich. The path to wealth is paved with ownership. Let this idea settle in your mind and heart. Don't just work for money build or buy assets that work for you. This shift in thinking is the gateway to real wealth and freedom. And so I encourage you to start right now. Look for one small way you can begin owning today. Invest a little, create something valuable, or educate yourself on assets. Ownership is not a destination, it's a journey. Begin that journey now and watch how your life and wealth begin to change. There is a fundamental truth in life and wealth building. Emotions can be the greatest enemy of financial success. When you think about the way money flows in and out of people's lives, you'll notice a pattern. Many lose fortunes not because of bad markets or economic downturns, but because they let fear or excitement dictate their decisions. I have seen it time and again, panic selling in a market dip, rushing to buy the latest hot investment without due diligence, or splurging on luxuries in moments of excitement, only to regret it later. Emotions, when unchecked, erode wealth much faster than any external factor. Emotional discipline is a secret weapon of the wealthy. They do not let their feelings drive their financial decisions. Instead, they pause, reflect, and think logically. This does not mean they never take risks or feel enthusiasm. It means they have trained themselves to separate emotion from action. This is a discipline you can cultivate with practice. A practical rule I recommend, and one that has served me well, is the 24-hour rule. Before making any major financial decision, give yourself a full day to think it over. Sleep on it. This pause helps remove the emotional fog clouding judgment. When you revisit the decision after 24 hours, your mind is clearer and calmer. You can then ask yourself, is this decision wise, or am I just excited? For example, you might be tempted to invest a large sum in a new opportunity that promises quick returns. The initial excitement can be intoxicating. But after sleeping on it, you might realize you haven't researched enough, or that the opportunity carries risks you had overlooked. This simple delay can save you from impulsive mistakes that cost dearly. Similarly, fear is just as dangerous. When markets fall or challenges arise, the natural reaction is to panic and sell. But wealth is built by those who keep a cool head, who see downturns as opportunities rather than threats. When you remove fear from the equation, you can make rational choices, perhaps, buying undervalued assets instead of selling at a loss. In my own journey, I learned this the hard way. Early on, I made impulsive financial moves driven by excitement or anxiety, and each time I suffered consequences. Over time, I adopted discipline, learned to step back, and developed patience. The result was a more stable, growing portfolio and less stress. Building this emotional discipline is like training a muscle. It requires awareness, practice, and commitment. Start by recognizing when emotions are influencing your decisions. Pause. Take a deep breath. Use the 24-hour rule religiously. Make it a habit. Eventually, this process becomes second nature. Remember, wealth is not just about how much money you make, it's about how well you keep it and grow it. Emotional control protects your wealth from self-inflicted wounds. It keeps you on the path to consistent growth rather than wild swings. So, the next time you face a big financial choice, don't rush. Give yourself time to think, to separate facts from feelings. Ask yourself if the move is based on careful analysis or momentary excitement. This discipline will save you from costly mistakes and set you up for long-term success. Let this principle guide you. Wealth grows best in calm minds, not frantic hearts. Make peace with patience, and your money will thank you for it. There's a principle that often gets overlooked in conversations about wealth, the power of personal integrity. When it comes to money, integrity is not just about honesty with others. It's about being true to yourself. You see, wealth is built on trust, and the foundation of that trust begins internally. If you make promises to yourself about saving, investing, or learning, and then keep those promises, you build a powerful momentum of discipline and confidence. If you break those promises, even small ones, you start a cycle of doubt and weakness that undermines your progress. Over the years, I've learned that financial success isn't just a matter of having the right opportunities or skills. It's largely about the habits and character you develop along the way. The small commitments you make to yourself, saving a certain amount, reading a book on finance, or avoiding impulse spending, these are the bricks that build a fortress of wealth. Each time you follow through, you strengthen your financial muscle and your self-respect. Each time you fail, you chip away at that foundation. Imagine this. You tell yourself you'll save $500 this month. Maybe it's not a large amount, but it's a promesa pact between you and your future self. When the paycheck comes in and expenses pile up, you have a choice. Honor that commitment or break it. By choosing to save, you send a message to yourself that you are reliable, disciplined, and serious about your future. This trust builds over time, creating a virtuous cycle where financial discipline becomes easier and more natural. On the other hand, if you regularly break your promises, I'll start budgeting next month, or I'll learn about investing soon, you're telling yourself that your word isn't trustworthy. This self-doubt seeps into other areas of your financial life, leading to poor decisions and inconsistent habits. The harder it becomes to stay committed, the more you sabotage your own progress. Building financial integrity also means being honest in your financial tracking and planning. Don't deceive yourself about your spending or your income. Keeping accurate records, reviewing your budget honestly, and facing your financial reality even when it's uncomfortable there. Acts of integrity that keep you grounded and in control. In my own life, I found that keeping small promises to myself paved the way for bigger victories. Early on, I wasn't making huge sums, but by faithfully saving, learning, and following through on commitments, I built a discipline that later allowed me to seize larger opportunities with confidence. Integrity is a cumulative asset. It compounds just like money. So start today by making one clear financial promise to yourself and keep it. Maybe it's saving a small amount, or reading a chapter in a book, or setting up an automatic investment. Whatever it is, commit fully and follow through. Notice how this strengthens your confidence and self-discipline. That feeling is the beginning of financial integrity. Remember, wealth begins with trust, especially the trust you build in yourself. Honor your words, respect your commitments, and watch how your financial life transforms from scattered and uncertain to disciplined and abundant. The path to riches is paved by those who keep their promises, not just to the world, but to their own hearts. We often fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment, a flawless plan, the ideal partner, or the right conditions before taking action. But here's a truth that changes everything. The perfect time rarely arrives. The wealthy understand this deeply. They don't wait for all the stars to align. They start with what they have and figure out the rest as they go. This ability to be resourceful, to creatively solve problems with limited resources is one of the most powerful engines behind financial success. Think about the times in your own life when you felt stuck, waiting for something external to change before you could move forward. Maybe you wanted to start a business but felt you didn't have enough money. Maybe you wanted to invest but thought you needed thousands before you could begin. Maybe you were hesitant to learn a new skill because you didn't have time or the right environment. That hesitation, that waiting for perfect conditions, is the enemy of progress. I've been there myself. Early on, I didn't have a fancy office, a large bank account, or a team behind me. I had very little, but I had ideas and determination. I had to figure out how to use what was available, my time, my mind, my small network, to start moving forward. Sometimes it meant doing things the hard way, but the important thing was that I started. I learned to ask myself, how can I solve this problem with what I have today, instead of when will I have what I need? Resourcefulness is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. It forces you to think differently, to be creative, to pivot when obstacles arise. Rather than waiting for permission or the perfect setup, you develop the habit of taking small steps now, refining your approach as you go. These small actions build momentum and confidence, turning problems into opportunities. Consider the story of someone wanting to improve their financial situation. Waiting to save a large sum before investing can stall growth indefinitely. But by starting small, maybe with a few dollars in an index fund or a side hustle begun with minimal capital, they start a process of learning and growth. Each step, no matter how small, builds experience and opens new doors. The wealthy don't chase perfection, they chase progress. Perfectionism paralyzes because it demands an unrealistic standard. Resourcefulness embraces imperfection because it knows the journey itself is part of the reward. It's about adjusting your sails when the wind changes, not waiting for a perfect breeze. So when you face a challenge or an opportunity, don't ask if you have everything you think you need. Instead, ask, quote, what can I do with what's in front of me? Start with the resources, knowledge, and skills you have right now. Take a step, then another. Refine, learn, and adapt. It's this continuous forward motion, fueled by resourcefulness, that turns dreams into wealth. Remember, wealth is rarely born from perfect conditions. It's born from action, from resourcefulness, and from the courage to start before you feel ready. Start where you are today, and the path will reveal itself as you move forward. We live in a world that celebrates excitement, the new, the flashy, the dramatic. But when it comes to building wealth, excitement is often the enemy. True financial success is not the result of a sudden windfall or a flashy investment. It's the outcome of consistent, steady actions repeated day after day, week after week, year after year. This is where many stumble. They want the thrill of instant success, but overlook the power of repetition and routine. The wealthy understand something important. Boredom is not a barrier. It is a gateway. It's in the boring, repetitive work, the saving, the learning, the investing that empires are built. You don't build wealth by chasing every new idea or trying every hot trend. You build it by mastering the fundamentals and doing them consistently, no matter how dull they seem. When I first began my own journey, I realized that excitement comes and goes. I remember the early days when I had to read, reread, and apply the same principles repeatedly. It wasn't glamorous. There were no shortcuts or magic bullets. Just simple habits are done well, day in and day out. This steady approach compounded into knowledge, confidence, and ultimately, financial success. Think about the act of saving money. Putting aside a small amount regularly might seem unexciting, even tedious. But over time, this repetition creates a financial cushion and opens doors to investing opportunities. The same goes for learning. Consuming a little bit of knowledge every day, whether through books, podcasts, or mentors, builds a foundation that can't be shaken by market ups and downs. Investing is another area where repetition matters. Making regular contributions to an investment account, regardless of market conditions, is a boring habit that produces wealth. Trying to time the market or chasing the latest big thing often leads to losses. Consistent, repetitive actions smooth out the ups and downs and create long-term growth. This principle applies to personal discipline as well. Successful people build routines and rituals that support their goals. They show up every day, whether they feel motivated or not. They embrace the mundane because they know it leads to mastery. It's the difference between someone who dabbles in financial success and someone who lives it. The key is to commit to these daily wealth-building habits. Saving a set amount every week, dedicating time to learn something new, reviewing your finances regularly, making steady investments, these are the actions that compound over time. These aren't exciting in the moment, but they create a momentum that excitement alone never can. In my own life, I found that embracing this boredom, this repetition, was the secret to lasting success. It was the discipline to do what was necessary, not what was entertaining. Wealth isn't built by chasing distractions or quick fixes. It's built by consistency. So if you want money to start chasing you, start embracing boredom. Fall in love with the process more than the outcome. Do the right things repeatedly, even when no one is watching and no applause is coming. Over time, these small, boring actions will stack up to something extraordinary. Remember, excitement fades, but habits build empires. Choose your habits wisely. When it comes to building wealth, relying solely on willpower is a losing game. Willpower is like a muscle. It can only be flexed so many times before it tires out. By midday, that determination to make the right financial decision often weakens. Temptations creep in, distractions multiply, and before long, the discipline that started the day strong begins to falter. That's why the wealthy don't depend on motivation or willpower, they depend on habits. Habits are the invisible architecture of success. They operate quietly in the background, guiding your actions without requiring constant mental effort. Instead of asking yourself every morning, should I save money today? Or should I invest time in learning? You build systems that make those actions automatic. This removes the need for a daily battle of discipline and replaces it with seamless, consistent progress. Take saving money, for example. Instead of waiting to see what's left at the end of the month or summoning the willpower to transfer funds, the wealthy set up automatic transfers to their savings or investment accounts. The money moves without needing a decision, without debate. The act of saving becomes a default part of life. This simple system ensures that the habit sticks, even on days when motivation runs low. The same principle applies to learning. The wealthy schedule time for personal growth, reading books, listening to podcasts, attending seminars, and they put these sessions on their calendar as non-negotiable appointments. By treating learning like an essential meeting, they avoid relying on spontaneous bursts of enthusiasm. This habit keeps them growing steadily, compounding knowledge over time. Action is another area where systems shine. Successful people map out their key tasks and link them to routines and reminders. Instead of trying to summon willpower to get motivated to act, they build environments and habits that encourage immediate response. This might look like batching work, setting alarms, or having accountability partners. The point is to remove friction so progress is continuous. I recall early in my journey when I tried to push through with sheer force of will alone. It was exhausting and inconsistent. When I shifted my focus to building habits like writing down daily goals, tracking expenses religiously, and reading a few pages every day, things changed dramatically. The mental energy required dropped, and the results multiplied. Those habits carried me forward on days when willpower failed. It's important to recognize that if you don't actively design your habits, life will design them for you. And more often than not, that means drifting toward distractions, impulsive spending, or neglecting growth. Without conscious structure, habits form around convenience and comfort, not success. To leverage habits over willpower, start small and be consistent. Pick a few key wealth-building actions, saving a fixed amount weekly, dedicating 15 minutes to learning, reviewing your financial goals every morning, and tie them to existing routines. For example, save money right after payday or read during your morning commute. The more automatic you make these behaviors, the less mental energy they consume. Over time, these small, structured habits compound. They create momentum that propels you forward regardless of your mood or external circumstances. It's not about heroic effort every day. It's about the intelligent design of your daily routine. Remember, wealth is rarely the product of dramatic one-time efforts. It is the result of simple, consistent actions sustained over the years. The difference between the wealthy and the rest isn't more willpower, it's better habits. Let your systems carry you, and wealth will follow naturally. When I speak about wealth, it's not just about dollars and cents, it's about mindset. And nowhere is this more evident than in the simple practice of gratitude. I've learned that wealth begins not just with what you have, but with how you see what you have. If you're not grateful for $10, chances are you won't be grateful for 10 million. The mindset of gratitude shifts your relationship with money from scarcity to abundance. Early in my own life, I witnessed how a lack of appreciation for small gains kept people stuck in a cycle of wanting more but never feeling satisfied. Gratitude is the lens that allows you to see opportunity rather than lack, progress rather than failure. It trains your mind to notice what's working instead of what's missing. This is essential because the energy you put out attracts similar energy back to you. When you cultivate appreciation, you invite abundance. I recommend starting and ending each day by writing down things you're thankful for. This isn't just about listing material possessions, but also about recognizing financial lessons, small wins, or chances you might have overlooked. Perhaps it's a client who paid you early, a new idea that came to mind, or simply the discipline to save a little this week. These moments accumulate into a powerful force that changes how you handle money. Gratitude is not a passive feeling. It's an active practice that rewires your brain. It transforms worries about money into curiosity about growth. It makes setbacks easier to bear because you see them as lessons, not losses. It turns challenges into stepping stones, fueling resilience. I remember when I first made it a habit to write gratitude notes. Even for modest financial milestones, the shift in my attitude was profound. Instead of focusing on what I lacked, I became energized by what I was building. This changed my daily decisions. I was more disciplined with spending, more enthusiastic about learning, and more generous with giving. Gratitude became the foundation of my wealth-building journey. If you want wealth to chase you, start with gratitude. Recognize and celebrate what you have today. This mindset will open doors and attract opportunities you might never have imagined. Wealth isn't just about possession, it's about perspective. Cultivate gratitude and watch how your financial life transforms. Wealth starts in the mind, and gratitude is the key that unlocks its door. As we come to the close of our time together, I want you to remember this. Wealth is not a mysterious force that favors the lucky or the privileged. It is a natural result of a disciplined mind, daily habits, and a heart aligned with purpose. The journey to financial success begins in your thought show. You view money, how you respect it, and how you let it shape your actions every day. Too often, people wait for the perfect moment, the big break, or a stroke of luck to change their financial story. But the truth is, wealth is built one step at a time, one decision at a time. It is the small, consistent actions taken with intention and integrity that compound over weeks, months, and years to create real freedom. You don't need to start with a fortune. You just need to start with what you have, where you are, and who you are becoming. The principles we've discussed aren't theoretical. They are time-tested truths that anyone can apply. From adopting a long-term mindset, mastering emotional discipline, building assets that work for you, to practicing daily gratitude, each habit reinforces the foundation of lasting wealth. Remember, it's not about chasing money blindly. It's about cultivating a mindset that makes money chase you. So, here is my call to action for you. Don't leave this moment without committing to your next step. Write down your 10-year vision. Automate your savings. Choose one idea you've been putting off and take that first action today. Start a habit of daily learning. And above all, practice gratitude for every small success and lesson learned along the way. Wealth is more than numbers in a bank account. It is the freedom to live life on your terms, to give generously, and to create a legacy that outlasts you. It begins in your mind, flows through your habits, and shapes your destiny. Take ownership of your financial future. Master your mind, act with intention, and watch as success begins to follow you. Your journey to wealth is not a destination, it's a lifelong adventure. Step into it now with courage and clarity. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is now.